Welcome back to the channel, everyone. We're going to touch base on generational curses, right? And in order to understand generational curses, we have to dig into low vibrational energies, which in return are demonic entities, demonic energies, right? And so when we want to understand that, we have to realize that everything has a vibration, right? So low vibrational energies are susceptible to demonic energy attaching to it because they're vibrating at the same frequency, right? So everything is energy. That's what I'm trying to say, right? And so when it comes to lower vibrational energies, that's where diseases come into play, disorders comes into play, mental illness come into play, right? And so if you want to detect a generational curse in your bloodline, what you have to do is look at the trajectory of the bloodline, right? And look at each generation. And if there's a generational curse, it would manifest as a disorder, as a disease, as an illness, right? Which every generation would have, right? And usually somebody in the bloodline, each generation would inhabit the curse, right? So let's say if it's mental illness, right? Somebody would have a mental illness disorder, and usually in the bloodline, that would be the cause of death for many individuals, right? Or let's say if it's a disease like high blood pressure or addictions per se, right? Whatever it may be, right? It would happen each generation, right? So what this is a manifestation of a demonic contract that was made way back when, right? So it doesn't have to be like right now. It doesn't have to be like right now your mother did it or your father did it or your grandfather did it. This usually tracks way back, right? And so the reason why I'm bringing it up is because the way that you'll be able to identify that is there is because in each generation it would manifest as a disorder, as a disease, as an illness, right? So what has happened is that these demonic entities have been labeled as disorders, disease, mental illness, right? And so that's the manifestation of the contract that was made with, dark entities. Hashatana, El Diablo, Satana, El was. You know what I'm talking about? Right. Like that. And so it manifests as a disease, as a disorder, right? And so the reason why I'm bringing it up is because in each bloodline, there's usually a generational curse breaker, right? And so when this person answers the call, their mission, one of their missions is to break that generational curse of mental illness, of addictions, of whatever disease is running in the bloodline that has manifested. But the root cause of this is that somebody way back when opened up a portal and made a demonic contract with low entities such as Satan, and for whatever reasons, whether it was, to provide, money, to provide job opportunities. Usually they make a contract with these low vibrational entities, low vibrational energies, and it could be like a Masonic order or, a secret society type of thing, or it could be directly with, El Waswap. I'm not trying to make light of it. That's just the reality of it, right? And so today it'll manifest as that. And so the reason why I'm bringing it to the attention of humanity is because you don't have to be like contracted to do that. You know how there's some of us, we are generational curse breaker, and that's our mission. That's what we came here to do, or at least one of them, right? But this is something that anybody could do. As long as you're able to identify that this is happening in your bloodline, you could say, hey, this ends with me. It doesn't go on from me. Like if we all suffered from addictions before, it ends with me. If we all suffer from mental illness, it ends with me. And the way that we deal with this is that we identify that it's happening in the bloodline, right? And we choose to heal. We choose to rise above it, right? And so what we do is that we come up out of those low vibrational energies, we stop operating at our root, sacral, and solar plexus, right? We come up out of that and we ascend towards our highest good, and we live in our truth. And when we live in our truth, what that does is that dismantles that generational curse. Because what needs to happen is that somebody has to go face to face with that entity, right? And we're not looking for horns or the picture of Satan or nothing like that. It's a low vibrational energy that inhabits multiple individuals in the bloodline. And usually there'll be one individual in each generation that is like that the entity embodies, which is the one that is always creating chaos, the one that is always reflecting that generational curse, right? And usually these people wear a mask, so it's hard for us to identify them, but there's always someone who wants to keep that generational curse going, right? And for the individual that is trying to break the generational curse, sometimes some of us don't even know that we're breaking these generational curses, right? And so what we do is that we choose to just heal. We choose to rise above certain challenges. We choose for our children not to have to go through the same things that we went through, right? Because we just don't want it. That's not what we want for us. That's not what we want for our children. That's not what we want to see in the world. So we choose to rise above it, right? And we don't realize that that's the work that we're doing, that we're breaking these generational curses, and by doing so we're freeing our ancestors, because they fell into the trap and they continue with the curses, right? With the generational curses that manifest as diseases, disorders, illnesses in the bloodline, right? And so because someone usually in the bloodline, just like there's like the generational curse breaker that's sent into the bloodline to break the generational curse, there's always someone there who wants to keep that generational curse going, right? And so these individuals usually know who you are, and so they'll have a mask with everybody else portraying to be usually like you. So they'll want to embody who you are to these people so that they can maintain like a low level of not being visible. So they're like their superpower is like invisibility, right? But to you, they're always going to be like a narcissist type of scenario, right? Because they know what you came here to do. And so their goal is to stop that, because the entity lives inside of them, and two, they want to continue this going. It's like in the Bible when Moses was leading the people out of Egypt, and then the people were like, I want to go back to Egypt. At least I had food there and stuff like that. The same thing with the person that's breaking the generational curses for their bloodline. The families, they truly they believe that they're doing the right thing, that they want to continue with things how they are because they're comfortable with it being like that, right? And so for you, you're like, come on out, come on, it's gonna get better, we have to break these curses, right? And it gets to an extent that really sometimes you just have to separate yourself from them and live in your truth, because truth is what exposes the reality of the entity, and it basically your energy, you live in your truth, and not succumbing to it basically dismantles the whole curse. And that's how you overcome it, by living in your truth.